Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And we're Envy Board Gaming. And today we're taking a look at my number 26th overall best game in my top 100 games of all time, Unmatched. We're going to be looking at the most recent set, which is Battle of the Legends Volume 2. But we'll talk about all of them really because it's the same game no matter what set you get. Each one just adds a little bit of variety or a little splash of color here and there depending on different sets. They add special little things. Anyway, let me show you how it's played and we'll come back and give you our final thoughts. Alright, so today we're going to take a look at Unmatched Battle of Legends Volume 2. In this set, it's going to come with 4 new characters and a new map. The characters are Achilles, Yanenga, Sung Wukong, and Bloody Mary. If you are not familiar with the system, that's okay. I'm going to teach you how to play. And so let's just dive in and see how it works. So if you've never played Unmatched before, the way this game works is that each player is going to choose a hero and they are going to square off against one another in this arena, and they are going to battle using cards until one hero their health is reduced to 0. Once you defeat the actual hero character, you are the winner. All right, now each character is going to have their own special abilities and information. So you're going to take a deck of cards. They're going to come with their own little health dial. Some will even have sidekick tokens as well. Just so you know, these boxes don't come in the game. It's just something that I got. These are the burger token boxes. It just helps me to organize the game a little bit better since there's so many characters out. Also, one thing to notice that's different, if you are into Unmatched and you have played, is that this board actually has some additional attack on the board. So depending on which space you are going to be attacking from, you could have an additional attack bonus just from being higher up, elevated areas. So you would have to be here in order to get this +1 attack on a character that is here. All right, so let's jump in and see how a normal turn works. Now, once you have chosen your hero, you are then going to set up by placing whoever the first player is going to place their character here at the 1 spot. The second player will place theirs over here. There's a little 2, you probably can't see it, but it is there. If you're playing a 3 or 4 player game, the 3 spot is here and the 4th spot is over here. And so once you place your hero, you then get to place any sidekicks that you have. And they can be placed anywhere in the hero's zone. So I'm in this gray zone here, so I could place any of these anywhere in a gray zone. So I could do that if I wanted to. And then also the other player is going to do the exact same thing. Now at the beginning of your turn, you are going to draw 5 cards for your starting hand. And then play is going to begin with the first player, and it's going to go around the table until someone's hero is down to 0. Okay, now on your turn there are 3 actions. So we're going to start by talking about what those 3 actions are. So for the first of the 3 actions, the first one is going to be a maneuver action. So if you would like to move around, you must draw a card from your deck at the beginning of your maneuver action, and then you move a certain number of spaces. So for Yanenga, her movement is 2, whereas other characters might have a movement of 3, or you might be able to, and you can boost your movement if you would like to. So you can always go further. And I'll talk about boosting here in a second. So when you choose to maneuver, you draw the card, and then you can move each of your characters that many spaces. So for Yanenga, it's going to be 2 spaces. So she could go 1, 2, and then the archer can move 2, and then the other archer can move 2. So each character would get to move the number of movement spaces. Now, if you would like to move further, you can boost that movement by discarding a card from your hand. And each card has a boost value here in the bottom right. And whatever that value is, when you discard this card, you add that to your movement. So if I were to discard Stallion Charge, then each of the characters would be able to move an additional 3 spaces, making my movement 5. So you can move further, it just costs you a card. All right, so that is pretty much the maneuver action. The second action that you can take is a scheme. And so as you can see, the cards are pretty much broken down into these different symbols. And depending on what the symbol is, will let you know when you can play the card. A scheme card are going to be these lightning bolt cards that you see here. And what you do is you simply just play this card, you read what it does, and you resolve it. Okay, so for instance, this one will allow me to move each of my fighters again up to 2 spaces. And then each of my fighters can recover health and they can draw a card. So that would be the scheme action, is just these lightning bolt cards. And then the third and final action that you can do, but remember on your turn you're only doing 2 actions, but of those 2 actions you have 3 options. The third option that you have for an action is going to be attack. All right, now if you are attacking, you're going to be looking at these cards, because this has a red burst, which is an attack card, and this is a versatile card, which is used for attack or defense. There are other cards in the game as well that you'll see. I'll see if I can find one real quick, that are blue, and those are used solely for defense. All right, and when you're playing these attack or defense cards, you're going to be looking at the name as well, because I cannot play a Unmatched card if I'm attacking with my archer. I would have to play an archer card or an any card in order to complete that attack. And the same thing goes for Unmatched. I cannot play an archer card for Unmatched. I'd have to use one that has her name on it or the any in the little banner here. Okay, so when you play a card, you get to play a card face down, and then the opponent will also get to play a card face down. And what you're going to do is that you are going to reveal at the same time, and whoever has the highest value is going to be the winner. However, you do want to make sure that you check any abilities that are on the bottom of the card. So if I played this for my archer to attack Patroclus, right, I can look at this and it says during combat. There's going to be different abilities. There's going to be ones that say immediately, ones that say during combat, and ones that say after combat. If at any time cards are played that have effects that take place at the exact same time, the defender will always resolve theirs first. Okay, so for example, I played this momentous shift. Neither one of these have immediate, so then it goes to during combat, and it says that if my fighter started this turn in a different space, the value is a 5, which it did because I maneuvered it to the center here. All right, so this card is not a 3, it's actually a 5. And then we would continue, because his is after combat, and we would attack. So I would have 5 to 4. However, if you look here, you can also see that I have a +1 attack. So it's actually an additional damage that I'll be doing. So it's 6 to 4, meaning that Patroclus is going to take 2 damage, where that will be resolved here on his dial, going down to 4. And then after that, you will conclude with Patroclus's ability here, where it says if you won, which he didn't, he would be able to choose one of the fighters in combat to move them up to 2 spaces. So since he did not win, he would not be able to take that action. If there is ever a tie when you are attacking or defending, the win goes to the defender, if there is a tie and no damage is taken because of the result of the attack. Okay, so if you're ever wondering if he won or lost, he lost because he took damage. He would win if he was able to block the full attack. Okay, so those are the 3 actions that are available to you, and each round you will take 2 actions. If you ever were to have to, let's say you maneuvered and had to draw a card and your deck ran out, you would not be able to draw a card, obviously. So in hand, you would have to take away 2 health from your character. Okay, so if you were to draw a card and you couldn't, you would have to lose 2 health. All right, so that's the main actions of the game, but you'll have to remember that each character comes with their own little special ability. Some are going to be ranged, some are going to be melee, like Achilles over here. He's melee, and you're going to have your own starting health that's going to be different and unique for each character. Okay, so for example, Yanninga, if she were to take damage, you may assign any amount of that damage to 1 or more archers that are in her zone instead. So I could, in theory, if she was attacked, I could give any damage to this archer. However, I could not give one to this archer because, as you can see, I am in the green zone and this archer is in the blue zone. And this one is in 3 different ones, so that counts. And if you, since we are talking about if you are new to Unmatched, when it comes to attacking from ranged, I could attack anybody that is in my zone or that is adjacent for ranged. But if you're melee, then you have to be adjacent to someone in order to attack them. So that's how that is going to work. Okay. And you're going to just keep going back and forth until the hero is defeated. It does not matter if these little minions get defeated. They will not trigger the end of the game. It's only when a hero is actually defeated in the game. One thing I'll point out as well that's a little bit different in this set for Yaninga is that she has these tokens, which in a normal Unmatched game typically only have 1 health. However, for her, the archers actually have 2 health. So whenever they take 1 damage, you just turn them over, and this will show you that they only have 1 left, and that way when they take that final damage, then they're out of the game. All right? But she does have cards that will bring them back, that kind of stuff. Whereas Patroclus, he has an actual dial where he starts with 6 health. All right? And then once that hits 0, he is out of the game. All right, so that's a little bit different. We haven't seen these 2 health tokens that are out on the board. The map's a little bit different. And also this set also introduces a new kind of gameplay. So before you would have to play 1v1 or 2v2. However, now in this set, they have a free-for-all where you can play with 3 or 4 players, and it's kind of winner takes all kind of thing. But there are specific rules as to who you're allowed to attack, who you're not allowed to attack on your turn. I won't go into that. If you want to, I'll let you, kind of figure that out on your own. Or you can still do the team play where it can be 2 versus 2. So there is one other thing I do want to let you know that is different with this set, is that this set actually introduces what is called a bonus attack. So I grabbed one Patroclus card, or not Patroclus, Achilles card, and one Yaninga card to kind of show you what those look like. So for each of these, they actually, as an after combat, resolve another attack. So for example, if Yaninga were to attack with this, they would have to defend, and then after combat, they would immediately attack with this second attack here at the bottom, where then the defender would have the opportunity to play a second card to defend against this volley here. And same thing here for Achilles, and each one of the characters in this set come with these cards. Each of them are a little unique. If you were to look at Sun Wukong, he has an attack card that is really interesting because it is a trick card, essentially. So he has this attack card here that is 0. However, if the opponent plays a defense card against this, then you get to trigger the after combat attack called Tricked You, and you actually then attack them for 4. So that's kind of a unique difference there, to where now you might think, maybe I don't want to defend against an attack because it could be this one where you won't take any damage anyway. Whereas the person that's attacking actually wants you to burn that card, because then they get to attack you again, and then you have to burn another card if you want to defend against actual damage. So that's some interesting card play there with his character. And another one that you'll see in Bloody Mary, since she also has a bonus attack card, is something like this, which is her Bloody Requiem, and that is that she attacks for 3, and then for the bonus is she kind of copies the attack value that is on the value of your opponent's card. So if they play a card against this one, then you have to deal with this down here, which is going to be the value of the card that they played. So it says right here, during combat, if your opponent played a card against this attack's value is that card's printed value. Okay, so again, you're kind of helping burn cards from your opponent, and they have to decide, do they want to play a card against it or not. So yeah, very interesting card play here. Just something I thought that was really interesting and different from this set, and I thought was worthy of mentioning. So those are the big changes with the board, with the cards, with the characters. So now let's go ahead and take it back up top and give you our final reviews.
All right, we're back. Thank you, Andrew, for teaching us how to play.
Yeah.
So what were your positives with this game? I know this is a favorite of yours, so I'll let you start. What would you say are the positives of this particular Unmatched game?
This particular one, I think this particular set of Unmatched adds a couple new little dynamics. One, with the map, it adds the +1 attack. Going in certain directions on the board.
Yeah.
It also adds the bonus attack. So each set comes with a little bonus attack, but they each work very differently, which I think is very interesting. You might have Bloody Mary, who kind of copies the attack from the previous played card as her after combat ability for the second bonus attack. Whereas then you have, I hope I'm saying it right, Sun Wukong, who has the Tricked You card, where it's a 0 at first, but if the defender played a card, that becomes, then you get to trigger that extra attack, which is pretty cool. And so I really like that. I think that just adds a little bit more flavor and a little bit more strategy to it. It makes the defender really think, because your initial reaction is, I'm being attacked, I should defend myself. And now that kind of makes you think, maybe I shouldn't defend myself, because then I might have to burn a second card. And cards can be very valuable and everything. And so I really like that. I really liked just the different, with every single Unmatched set, each character feels very thematic to that actual person, whether it be in the Legend sets or Cobble and Fog, whatever it is, whatever set you have. I always play a character. Every time I play a character, I feel like this is that character. This is how I would imagine this character being played in this game. And so those are some of the pros. I really like this set as well. To be fair, I shouldn't say most of the sets I've really enjoyed. Almost all of them. And I'll talk a little bit about that probably later towards the end of the video. But yeah, so that's what I really thought was neat about this set. It brought some really interesting dynamics to the game, a little twists and turns that change things up from what's already been done, and really even kind of shows you what's out there that they could do with this game, like just how far it can stretch and the different areas that it can grow and continue to expand with this whole series of games. It's so good. It's so great. I really like it. So yeah, those are some great pros. So what about you? What kind of pros do you have for the game?
Well, I agree that it does feel very thematic with each character. All of them are very different. They all play very different. And I felt like they each had their own kind of pros and their own cons to playing, and it depends on like who you're going up against too.
Right.
But I would say the characters were very unique too that they chose for this particular set. I thought it was interesting to have, Yaninga, who is like a warrior that I've never heard of before. Bloody Mary, throwing her in there, which is like, what? That was just like a completely different character. Having, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Sun Wukong, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Having him, and then also Achilles. So the mixture of characters was cool. I think they're all very unique. And so, yeah, I felt like it was thematic, and they each have their, I liked their abilities.
Yeah, they very much played into who they were.
Yeah. And the board too, with you saying that the board, is different with adding like the +1 attacks.
Right.
That did make it a lot more different than the other Unmatched games. So I thought that was also cool. So you're trying to pay attention to where you're going on the mat, or on the board, to be like, okay, am I maximizing my points?
Right.
So, and I, you know, and even just like thinking about it, I was like, you know, Yaninga, like going through characters, like she's on a horse, like that's very thematic.
Right.
And Bloody Mary being kind of like sneaky in her
She
attacks.
like reflects the, yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, Achilles, just like his different stuff too.
Well, yeah, because a lot of his stuff is around Patroclus, which is I can't think of Achilles and not think of the movie Troy.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Brad Pitt in the whole story. I mean, I knew of the story of Achilles before that movie,
Yeah.
but just thinking about how enraged he got after Patroclus died, and you know just what kind of a rampage he went on, and you know. That feels very thematic. I mean,
it does,
Patroclus dies. Now you add 2 to every single attack, and if you win battles, you get to draw extra cards, which just really beefs him up, and it gets crazy. So it really even makes you want to put your sidekick in harm's way. Like I want my cousin to die so that I can be stronger.
Yeah.
In a way, you know that you want to use up that meat shield. Whereas then you have Yanenga, who you don't necessarily want to kill them off, but it's nice that you can just use them as meat shields. Like, oh, you're going to take a health, you might take 2 health, whatever. And then you have ways to just, oh, look, they heal. Everybody heals back up 1. You have those cards, bringing them back out. And so she can be very difficult to get to if she can kind of shed that damage and deflect it to her archers, which is really cool. And then you have, you know, Sung Wukong, who can summon those clones and jump around. And what I like about him is that a big attack can come from anywhere, you know, because he's got those clones, he's got his main hero, and all of his cards are any cards. So you don't, like, all your cards are going to be used for anybody.
I did like that with playing him because you don't have to worry, like, looking at your hand and one of your players is getting attacked and you don't have a card for them to defend. So that was nice. Or attack, yeah. So, I mean, all of them are any. So it's like, regardless, you're pretty covered if you have the card.
Right. And I like, you know, with Bloody Mary, it's interesting because in other characters I'm always worried about getting too low on cards and having them burn. But with Bloody Mary, you know, if you have a hand of exactly 3 at the beginning of your turn, you get an extra action. And then there's cards that also can give you extra actions, and you really want to play into that because a lot of cards say if this is your 3rd action, the value's not a 3, it's a 7. Or this is now a 6, or this happens or that happens, or you get to draw an extra card. And so I never felt like even having 2 or 3 cards in my hand, like I was even really at a disadvantage. I felt like I was like, oh, I'm 1 card away. And there's those defense cards that let me draw a card. Like I could easily get to 3 cards or get 3 actions. And I really kind of play into that ability. And which was a unique feeling because a lot of times people that get down low at hands are like, oh, I'm just going to maneuver and run around and try to get more cards. Where she might lean more into that ability, and I really like that about her.
Yeah, you don't feel threatened when you're Bloody Mary and you're down to 3 cards.
I'm just like, come at me, because I can take it, and you know, there's so many cards that can just flip it around.
I did feel very powerful, like playing her.
Right.
Yeah, like I really did. I was like, well, I only have 3 cards, but I still get extra actions. So really, am I at a disadvantage? Not really. So. And
going into this, I was really excited. I had seen this at Gen Con. And I had known about all the characters that were coming out. And I was most excited before getting it. I was most excited about Sung Wukong and Yaninga. But now, having played it, I really do like them all. And so it's hard to say, oh, this is my favorite, that is my favorite. But I would have to say, it is a real tight. But I think Bloody Mary might inch them all out. I think she's just, I don't know, I just like the play style of her from this set. But Yaninga, Achilles, they're all right there. Sung Wukong might favorite. Be right. Yeah. And so Sung Wukong might be the very bottom, but I mean it's so marginal. They're all seem really good, and each one of them I can be like, oh, these are really strong. And I'm curious how they would play up against other characters. And you know, I'm excited. I want to see how they square off against some of the bigger I guess stronger characters, because Medusa is considered, you know, a super strong character, or Bigfoot is considered a super powerful character. And so so Yeah, there's a lot of pros to this game. What about cons?
Yeah.
I know this one didn't rank as very high on your list. I don't even know if it made your top 50 when we did the. But what are
I
some
don't
cons?
think so. Cons for me, I don't know. I feel like each character plays very different. And I guess maybe in playing certain characters, I felt like in Yananga and Bloody Mary, there weren't very many cons that I found with them.
Okay.
With Achilles and the
Sun Wukong.
Sun Wukong.
I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't know if I felt like the clones really didn't do much, and Patroclus he didn't have much health, and so I didn't feel like they were very helpful. I guess.
Right.
It would matter the way that you play it too, of course. Maybe I just didn't maximize on using the clones and Patroclus, but Bloody Mary and Yananga had like the two archers, but Bloody Mary had no help. It was just her. And I almost feel like sometimes with unmatched characters, sometimes their helpers aren't very helpful.
Right.
Like I could take it or leave it. So I felt like that was maybe a con, is like I felt like they kind of maybe just got in the way.
Right.
Or yeah, they're just there to take hits. But like with the clones, they only have one health. So how exactly helpful is that? I don't know. Because also, unless you can play the right cards with Sun Wukong, I'm going to do this every time.
Yeah.
But with him, you have to take a damage to get a clone out there.
Unless you play the cards.
Unless you play the cards. So I was able to, when I played him, I only had to really take like one hit to get a clone.
And that was
and that was it. And then I was able to get the clones out. But I don't know. I'm like, I mean, they were okay. So that would probably just be the only con, I guess.
I don't really have any cons for the characters. And I mean, because I really do like this system. I like the versatility to the system. I don't really have any issues with the characters. I think they all have their own niche that they're really good at, and I think it's just finding that sweet spot and knowing how to play each character and kind of leaning into that. The one thing I've always, and as of recently with some of these unmatched sets, is the board. I like the earlier sets, and I know it's kind of it's you either like it or you don't. But they have the exact same board on the flip side that is just like the different colored rings. And I know it's like, oh, we want to show off the art a little bit better. But honestly, to me, when I play on that side, it's just harder to see. And I would much rather just flip it over and have it be much more visible, easy to know what zone I'm in. And, it has the textures already for anybody that's colorblind, that kind of stuff. And so I just wish they would go back to having 2 maps instead of just one. Like it would have been cool if maybe on the other side they had spaces that were +1 defense instead of attack. Maybe just switch it up, which I'm sure we will see in future sets. I don't know. I mean, I can't say that for sure, but I feel like if you have that here, at some point we'll see +1 defense on the maps or something like
maybe.
that. And so, yeah, that's the only thing. For the Unmatched series, I guess I should say as a whole, I preferred earlier on when they had 2 maps. It just adds a little bit more replayability, and I always liked using the setup to my advantage. So yeah. So let's talk about. I guess I don't know if I want to jump into final scores. I do kind of want to talk about just Unmatched as a whole. I will say, just real briefly, I won't get too much into it, but I really do like Unmatched. I think all of the sets, we have all of them except for one. I don't have Buffy, okay? I don't have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I'll explain why. It's because, one, we're not Buffy fans. I'm definitely not a Buffy fan. Were you a Buffy fan?
I've never watched it.
Right. My mom watched it when I was a kid, but I never really cared for Buffy. She's not something I'm super excited about. I've looked through all the cards. I've seen all their abilities. Buffy, Angel, Spike all seem pretty boring. The only one that seems at least a little bit interesting is Willow with the darkness tokens that they put out and everything. I think they're called Darkness, and she has a dark side. And I don't know anything about Buffy vampire lore, but even just looking at them, they wouldn't be one of my favorite ones. They wouldn't be my favorite characters at all. And so, but of all the other ones, I really like every single set, even the individual ones. And so I am kind of looking at doing a top 10. So I'm going to throw this out there. I am looking at doing a top 10 video for my top 10 favorite Unmatched characters. However, I'm thinking about maybe postponing that until April-ish, when the Marvel sets are supposed to come out. So there's supposed to be 2 Marvel sets that come out, and then I believe also the next Jurassic Park with Dr. Ellie Sattler and the T-Rex is supposed to be coming out in April. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong, but I do know that last I heard the Marvel sets were supposed to be definitely coming out in April. So I don't want to put out a top 10 and then have 8 more characters come out, because
that wouldn't make sense.
That's kind of a big chunk to leave out of that. So let me know in the comments. Should I wait? Should I do it now? I'm kind of curious. What would you be interested in seeing? Because, I mean, if 8 new characters come out in literally 2 months almost, it's like almost that top 10's obsolete, because you're missing a large chunk of them. But they keep coming out more and more sets.
Unless you do
it is
another
what
video.
It is. Right, I could do an update. So yeah, let me know what you think. So let's just do our final scores. What would be your score for Unmatched?
This particular series.
You can do that. I think mine is pretty going to be general across all sets.
Okay.
This doesn't change my score any more or any less. I think my score for Unmatched is pretty consistent across the board.
Okay.
But if you feel like just this set, I don't know if this set changes your mind at all. Does it? Does it make you like Unmatched more or less at all, or is it the same?
It makes me like it a little bit more.
Okay.
I think, more intrigued by this set than previous ones. I loved, was it the first set that had Alice and Medusa?
Alice, Medusa, Sinbad, and King Arthur.
Yeah, so the first set I absolutely loved, and then other sets came out, and I was like, okay, it's all right. But I think this one, out of all, besides the very first set, I like this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought the characters were really cool, and
she likes strong female roles in games.
I do. I like.
So having Yeninga and Bloody Mary in this, she liked it.
I did, and I didn't know anything about Yeninga, and so then I had to Google her, because I was like, who is she? I don't know who she is. I know who Bloody Mary is, whatever, but. And then learning about her, I thought was kind of interesting,
Right.
And so, I love a strong female character.
Yeah.
I love that in games. So I really like this set. And would you like my score?
Yeah. That's
okay. So initially, I would say before I played this set, I would give Unmatched a 6.
Okay.
And then after playing this set, I would give it a 6.5.
Okay. And that's coming from someone that doesn't generally like those head-to-head combat games.
Yeah.
You're not big on those.
I'm not usually
direct
a fan.
conflict where you're just kind of trying to hurt each other.
Fight.
Right. Right. So for me, Unmatched, across the board, this is an 8.5. I really like this game, and it's not really because I like that direct conflict. I just like that each character plays so differently and has a different strategy. And I mean, overall, you're doing the same thing. You're moving around, you're tagging, you're scheming, you're drawing cards, that kind of thing. But they each play so uniquely, and I really like that each time I can be somebody completely different, play the exact same game, but play it differently. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to games for me, is just the versatility, the replayability. And so I'm super excited for the additional sets that are coming out. I'll definitely be getting those and adding them to my collection already. So yeah, 8.5 for me. I love this game.
Figured.
Right, it's high up there. It's number 26 on my all-time favorite games. And so yeah, this is a great game. So let us know, what is your favorite set of Unmatched? If you've played Unmatched, what is your favorite set? Are you excited about the new sets that are coming out in April? And do you expect to get them? I would love to hear who your favorites are, and let me know if I should do that top 10 list now or if I should wait until the new sets come out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited. I'd love to have more conversation with everybody about this. This is such a great game.
Who's your favorite character to play?
Right, yeah.
And why?
Right, a little bit of work for you. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Click like, comment, subscribe, and click the little bell icon so you get a notification every single time we post a video. And we appreciate you guys watching this, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.
Bye.